In dramatic courtroom testimony this week, a former personal assistant to hip-hop mogul Sean Combs detailed a harrowing night of alleged threats, violence, and intimidation stemming from personal vendetta. Capricorn Clark, once a close aide to the influential music executive, claimed that Combs erupted in a fit of rage in December 2011 upon discovering that rapper Kid Cudi was romantically involved with R&B singer Cassie, who was also his girlfriend at the time. According to Clark, the situation escalated quickly and dangerously. She testified that Combs, visibly enraged and armed with a firearm, showed up at her home, banging on the door and ordering her to get dressed. He allegedly declared his intention to kill, demanding that she accompany him to Kid Cudi's residence in the Hollywood Hills. Once there, Clark said Combs, along with a member of his private security team, forcibly entered the home, only to find it empty. The failed break-in, however, was far from the end of the ordeal. What followed, she testified, was a series of violent events that eventually prompted her to confide in a high-ranking executive at Bad Boy Records months later. "I told him that Puff kidnapped me at gunpoint," Clark recounted, referring to one of the artist's former stage names. Her statement added weight to a broader narrative prosecutors have been building, that Combs allegedly operated a powerful and dangerous criminal network under the guise of a legitimate music empire. Authorities argue that he relied on loyal employees and enablers to execute illegal acts on his behalf, maintaining control through fear and manipulation. Legal experts believe that Clark's account is likely to bolster the government's case significantly. Her description of Combs' behavior, marked by coercion, domination, and threats of deadly violence, aligns with prosecution's portrayal of him as a man who uses influence to mask deeply troubling conduct. One former federal prosecutor suggested that such testimony could play a crucial role in swaying the jury, painting Combs not just as a flawed celebrity, but as someone potentially guilty of orchestrating a pattern of criminal behavior. The 55-year-old music mogul has pleaded not guilty to multiple federal charges, including racketeering conspiracy and sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. As part of the case, prosecutors must demonstrate that at least two underlying crimes were committed as part of a larger enterprise, a key component of a racketeering conviction. As the trial unfolds, the blurred lines between victimhood and complicity among Sean Combs' former employees have become a central theme for both the prosecution and defense. The jury will be tasked with examining whether the individuals who worked closely with the music mogul were simply victims of his alleged abuse or active participants in a wider criminal network. Capricorn Clark, who previously testified about a violent confrontation involving Combs and rapper Kid Cudi, further revealed her own complicated role within his organization. Earning a salary of $55,000 annually, Clark admitted a coordinating secretive hotel rendezvous allegedly orchestrated by Combs, which involved prearranged sexual encounters. She also confessed to procuring illegal drugs at his request. Despite testifying that she was kidnapped on 2 occasions and subjected to extensive lie detector sessions, the defense presented an email she sent to Combs in 2014 asking for forgiveness, though she did not specify the reason for her apology. That email came 2 years after her termination and 2 years before she rejoined Combs' team, highlighting the complicated dynamic of fear, control, and potential loyalty that prosecutors say define many of these relationships. Another accuser, identified only by the pseudonym Mia, echoed the sentiment. She told the court that working with Combs was often a roller coaster of emotions, sometimes feeling like a valued confidant, and other times degraded to what she described as being treated like a worthless piece of crap. Legal analysts argue that such testimony paints a picture of a workplace dominated by fear, power imbalance, and manipulation. Experts liken Combs' alleged control tactics to those often found in organized crime, where intimidation and psychological pressure are used to enforce obedience and loyalty. In such environments, employees may not be willing participants in illegal acts, but may also not be entirely innocent bystanders. There are clear parallels to gang dynamics or even mafia-style operations, said one legal expert. You don't need everyone in the organization to be a fully committed criminal, just compliant enough to keep the system running. The allure of wealth, fame, and access to power likely influenced some employees' decisions to stay, even when questionable behavior occurred. For prosecutors, that dynamic is being framed as a den of thieves, where individuals may pursue their own interests but still work in service of a larger criminal agenda allegedly orchestrated by Combs. This strategy allows the prosecution to argue that they aren't presenting morally upright citizens as witnesses, but rather individuals entrenched in a corrupt world they claim was built by Combs himself. As one former prosecutor put it, "These aren't firefighters or nurses. They're people who lived and worked in a very different reality, one created and controlled by the defendant." Still, legal experts caution that bad behavior alone doesn't automatically lead to a racketeering conviction. To secure such a verdict, the jury must be convinced that Combs ran a structured criminal enterprise and conspired to commit specific crimes through it. While there is significant testimony suggesting a pattern of abuse, intimidation, and possibly illegal activity, jurors must decide if those actions amount to organized criminal conduct. "There's certainly a lot of disturbing evidence," said one veteran trial attorney, "but that doesn't automatically mean the jury will conclude there was an actual criminal enterprise at work." Even so, some legal analysts believe the prosecution's case is gaining strength. One former federal prosecutor noted that racketeering cases can hinge on just one powerful witness or even circumstantial links between crimes and the business operations of the accused. In this case, multiple witnesses have testified that Combs uses employees and business infrastructure to allegedly commit and conceal criminal activities, an argument central to the government's case. As the trial continues, the jury will ultimately have to weigh whether the chaos and cruelty described in court represent the personal failings of a deeply flawed individual or the calculated operations of a man running a criminal empire from behind the scenes of a global music brand.